The smell of burnt toast and ambition filled our small apartment. It was 6 a.m. on a Monday, the kind of morning that holds the weight of an entire career. Today was the day, the Apex Tower presentation. My design, my baby, my ticket to a senior partnership. I knotted my tie, the silk cool against my nervous skin, my reflection in the mirror showing a man on the precipice of everything he'd ever wanted. Sarah, my wife, glided into the bathroom behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist. "Knock 'em dead, superstar," she whispered, her voice a little too bright, a little too rehearsed. I chucked it up to her own nerves for me. We were a team, after all. Down the hall, I heard the familiar jingle of a caller. Max, my golden retriever, my steadfast furry shadow for the past 5 years, was waiting. Normally, our morning routine was a well-oiled machine. I'd grab my briefcase, give him a final scratch behind the ears, and he'd trot to the window to watch me leave. But not today. Today was different. As I approached the front door, briefcase in hand, a low rumble started in Max's chest. It was a sound I'd only heard a handful of times, usually directed at a squirrel that had gotten too brave. He planted his 80-pound body squarely in front of the door, his golden fur bristling. His amber eyes, usually soft and loving, were hard, fixed on me with an unnerving intensity. "Max, buddy, move it! I'm going to be late," I said, trying to nudge him with my leg. He didn't budge. The growl deepened, vibrating through the floorboards. It wasn't aggressive, not in a way that made me fear him, but it was a warning. A profound, unshakable declaration that I was not to cross that threshold. "What is wrong with you?" I laughed, still thinking it was some strange game. I reached for a treat from the jar on the console table. His favorite, peanut butter biscuits. He didn't even glance at it. His focus was solely on me and the door. Now I was getting worried. Was he sick? Did he sense something I couldn't? An earthquake? A gas leak? My logical mind fought against the primal anxiety creeping up my spine. Sarah came out of the bedroom, phone in hand, an exasperated sigh escaping her lips. "Alex, what's going on? You need to leave. Mr. Henderson will have your head if you're late." "It's Max. He won't let me leave," I said, my voice tight with a confusion I couldn't articulate. She scoffed, a dismissive wave of her hand. "Oh, for God's sake. He's a dog. Just move him." She strode forward, her heels clicking on the hardwood, and tried to grab his collar. The growl that erupted from Max this time was sharp, a definitive back off. It was so out of character it shocked us both into silence. Max had never, ever growled at Sarah. He adored her. Sarah snatched her hand back as if she'd touched a hot stove, her face a mixture of fear and fury. "This is ridiculous," she snapped, her annoyance now directed at me. "You're actually going to let an animal dictate your career? The biggest day of your life, and you're cowering from a dog? Something's wrong, Sarah. He's never done this before. He probably just needs to go out. Or maybe he's just being needy. Whatever it is, you need to go." But I couldn't. Call it a gut feeling, call it foolish sentimentality, but the look in my dog's eyes held a gravity I couldn't ignore. It was a plea, a desperate, silent communication that transcended species. We stood there in a stalemate, the ticking of the clock on the wall amplifying the tension in the room. My phone buzzed. A text from my boss, Mr. Henderson. "ETA? Board is assembling." My fingers trembled as I typed back a lie. "Car trouble. On my way. Give me 30. Sarah threw her hands up in the air. "Unbelievable! I'm leaving. I have that lunch meeting with Jessica across town, and I can't be late. Figure this out, Alex." She grabbed her purse, shot a venomous glare at both me and the dog, and slammed the door behind her. The sound echoed the slamming of a door in my mind, the one that led to my future. For the next hour, I was a prisoner in my own home, held captive by my dog's inexplicable behavior. I pleaded, I reasoned, I offered him an entire steak from the fridge. Nothing. He remained a furry statue, a guardian at a gate I was forbidden to pass. My phone became a torture device. Henderson's texts grew more frantic, then apoplectic. Board is waiting. This is unacceptable. Pick up your phone, Alex. Don't bother coming in. Consider your project pulled. Each message was a nail in the coffin of my career. I sank onto the couch, head in my hands, the silence of the apartment broken only by Max's occasional low whine. He had finally moved from the door to lay his head on my knee, as if to say, "I know this is hard, but trust me." I was a fool. I had thrown away everything for a dog's mood swing. My promotion, my life's work, my reputation, all gone. A wave of bitterness washed over me. I looked at Max, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a spark of resentment. Then my phone rang. The screen flashed, "Mr. Henderson." My stomach plummeted. This was it, the official termination call. I answered, bracing for the verbal onslaught. "Mr. Henderson, I am so sorry. I can't explain." But the voice on the other end wasn't angry. It was shattered. A choked, guttural sob ripped through the speaker. "Alex?" It was barely a whisper. "Mr. Henderson, are you okay? What's wrong?" "Thank God," he gasped, his breath ragged. "Thank God you weren't here." A cold dread, far colder than the fear of being fired, washed over me. There was an incident. Everyone who came in, everyone who went to the fourth-floor conference room. "Oh God, Alex!" His voice broke completely, dissolving into raw, uncontrollable weeping. My mind raced. A shooter? A fire? A structural collapse? A sick irony given the nature of our work. My project, my career, none of it mattered anymore. My colleagues, my friends, were they hurt? Dead? What happened? "Sir, what happened?" I yelled into the phone, my heart hammering against my ribs. He took a shuddering breath, trying to compose himself. "It wasn't an accident, Alex. Not like that. It's my wife. It's Catherine." My confusion deepened. What did his wife have to do with the conference room? I came in early to prep the room myself. I found her. With him. With Mark. In our damn conference room, Alex. They thought everyone would be in the main auditorium for your presentation. They were using it as their room. The name hit me like a physical blow. Mark. My colleague. My best friend since college. The best man at my wedding. The pieces of a puzzle I never knew existed began to slam into place with brutal, sickening force. Mark's knowing glances, his constant praise of Sarah, Sarah's sudden lunch meetings with Jessica, the way she had been so desperate for me to leave this morning. It wasn't about my career, it was about getting me out of the way. My blood ran cold. I dropped the phone, the clatter on the floor barely registering. My gaze fell upon Sarah's tablet, left on the coffee table. With a sense of dreamlike horror, I picked it up. Her location sharing was still active. I had set it up years ago for safety. Her icon wasn't across town at the chic cafe where Jessica worked. It was pulsing steadily from the Meridian Hotel, 2 blocks from my office. The same hotel Mark always used for client meetings, the one he praised for its discreet back entrance. They were supposed to meet there after their tryst in my office. My presentation was their alibi. Max nudged my hand, whining softly, as if he understood the seismic shift that had just occurred within me. And in that moment, I knew. He hadn't been protecting me from a gas leak or a crazed gunman. He wasn't saving my life. He was saving my soul. He had sensed the emotional carnage waiting for me. He knew that if I had gone to work, I would have walked into the middle of my boss's life imploding, only to discover that my own was a mirror image of his. The betrayal, the humiliation, the public destruction of 2 families. Max had stood between me and that abyss. When Sarah walked through the door hours later, her face was a mask of practiced sympathy. "Oh, honey, I heard what happened at your office. Jessica's husband works in the building next door. He told her everything. How awful for Mr. Henderson. And for Mark. Can you believe it? How is he?" I didn't answer. I just stood there, a hollowed-out version of the man who had woken up that morning. I let the silence stretch, watching the confusion, then irritation, then fear dawn on her face. "How was lunch with Mark?" I asked, my voice flat, devoid of all emotion. The color drained from her face. The lie died on her lips. In the deafening silence that followed, there was only the truth, ugly and exposed. The confrontation wasn't a screaming match. It was a quiet, heartbreaking dismantling of a life I thought was real. The excuses, the tears, the blame, they were just noise. She and Mark had been together for nearly a year. That night, I sat on the floor, the darkness of the apartment a comforting blanket. All the pictures of Sarah and me felt like props from a stranger's life. I had lost my wife, my best friend, and the career I had worked so hard to build, all in one day. But as I sat there, broken and empty, a warm weight settled against me. Max rested his heavy head in my lap, his amber eyes soft again, filled with an ancient, unwavering loyalty. He licked the tears from my cheek. He hadn't stopped me from leaving. He had stopped me from shattering. He had guarded the door to my heart, protecting it from a blow it might never have recovered from. In the ruins of my life, he was the only thing left standing, a silent, golden testament to the fact that the most profound love often comes on four paws, and the most dangerous threats are the ones already inside your home.